The storyline currently buzzing through gossip columns, attributed to Lady C, reads like the trailer for a shameless black comedy. Meghan Markle allegedly believes the cards promise her the role of head of state, and therefore William must step aside, taking his children with him. Freeze frame. Deep breath. And let's add the caveat that cannot be omitted. This is hearsay, retellings, speculation by third parties, unconfirmed by documents, laws, or the actual constitutional order of succession. But that is precisely why the story sticks. It titillates by suggesting the impossible, scratches at the eternal wound of the crown's role in the 21st century, and flatters readers with the thrill of what if. The first hook sparkles like an epaulet on a parade uniform, the fantasy of forcing William to abdicate, removing his children from the line of succession. For anyone who skipped British constitutional law, monarchies are not reshuffled by text messages, and the line of succession is fixed by the Act of Settlement and later amendments. Abdications are not a matter of fatigue, they are historical earthquakes that leave cracks across decades. Translated into plain speech, the very idea of pushing out a successor who enjoys majority support is not a political plan but an antique farce. The more the audience understands this, the more powerful the hyperbole of the rumor becomes, and that is its clickbait energy. The second hook lies in psychology. William and Catherine have built their image on two cornerstones: predictability and restraint. This is not about being boring, it is about being reliable. For years they have invested in the sense that they do not need to be checked every day. Storms of headlines only tighten the circle of support. The angrier the press, the calmer their reaction, the clearer it is to the majority why this couple inspires no anxiety. Any plan to break their will is like trying to blow down a cathedral, noisy and meaningless. The third hook is the media's circular obsession with magical language, tarot, omens, destiny. These words give the illusion of fate's grand arches, substituting institutional machinery with romantic fatalism. But constitutions do not read horoscopes, and no Act of Parliament is laid out in a Celtic cross. This is where the satire creeps in. A beautiful legend collides with the dull reality of statutes, bulletins, and protocols. Out of that fracture rises the comic energy that makes Snakes on a Plane look like a documentary. Now to the heroine of the rumor. Meghan is a public figure with an image balanced precariously between lifestyle glamour and politicized dramaturgy. Any alleged intention is interpreted through the lens of ambition. But between I want attention and I am crowned yawns a chasm. In that abyss lies not only the law, but also the endurance test of monarchy itself, decades of ceremonies, steel-plated smiles, hundreds of hours where the art is to be the center of gravity without becoming the center of the story. Catherine has mastered this craft until it looks effortless. The irony is that in influencer culture the same skill, a little less me, a little more role, reads as a lack of spark. Hence the eternal comparison: one sings solo, the other holds the score. States almost always choose the latter. Why, then, do such stories explode? Because they offer the audience the rare thrill of editing history itself. What if? And fingers twitch toward the screen. Add the classic contrasts: protocol versus tarot, family versus personal brand, the euphemism of grey suits versus the melodrama of sabotage. This binary logic hypnotizes, it fuels the entire tabloid theater. Strip away the labels, and what remains is a flat, real canvas: a king battling illness, a Prince of Wales gradually growing into the weight of a future crown, a younger son still torn between private truth and public silence. There are no cards here. There is only character. Paradoxically, the grand plan theory helps the Windsors. While fantasies cast Meghan as a sinister puppeteer, the institution continues doing what it always does, repeating that half in, half out is impossible, strengthening the visible bond between King and Prince of Wales, and above all keeping tempo, duty, ritual, duty. Media hurricanes are seasonal. Institutions prevail by monotony. And yes, monotony is boring. But boredom is the currency of stability. Beneath it lies a subtler layer: sympathy. Gossip erases pain, but everyone in this saga suffers. Harry, however grating his public gestures, lives in the shadow of a loss fame cannot heal. Charles, however often painted as a manipulator, lives with a diagnosis and the burden of reconciling worlds. Catherine bears not only the aesthetic but also the therapeutic weight of being a calm center while everything roars around her. Meghan, for all her sharp edges, is still a human being with vulnerabilities that do not vanish in a flood of likes. Acknowledging this does not excuse everything, it merely acknowledges that reality is not a cartoon of villains. Villains belong to music videos. Life is harder. What can a reader do, tempted by sensation but unwilling to be fodder for the mill? A few antidotes. First, watch the verbs. Plan, intend, are about to always ask, who said this, where is the document? Second, distinguish genres. An opinion column is not an investigation, a source is not a participant. Third, measure scale. The louder the headline, the more likely it contains no real substance. Fourth, track repetitions. If the palace repeats 3 times that half in, half out is impossible, that is a line, not noise. If the Sussex camp now insists the focus is on the king and no longer launches barbed asides, that is also a signal, a shift toward valuing meetings over speeches. And then, the art of the hook. The rumor about the crown by cards needed only a spark to set the feeds ablaze. But what keeps audiences is not noise but rhythm, half-minute beats where sense outweighs shout. The sense here is simple. No plan of overthrow can erase archetypes centuries old. Britain does not crown through Instagram stories. The crown grows heavy from labor, not hashtags. So let us repeat clearly, without irony, the notion that anyone could force William to renounce his place is fantasy. The notion that succession could be rewritten by PR maneuver is fantasy squared. The notion that tarot confers a throne is genre parody. What remains are the human parts: ambition, fatigue, faith, disappointment. And it is those, not conspiracies, that will shape the next decade of monarchy, either steady and quiet, or noisy and sharp once more. For now the best plan belongs to boredom and discipline. William and Catherine will continue to do exactly what they are loved for, without interjections, without fireworks. The king will continue balancing the private and the public. Harry will continue seeking his way home, if it is a way and not just a route for charter flights. Meghan will decide whether to play the lead in her own show or accept a supporting role in the larger narrative. And perhaps the bravest gesture will not be a new title or a fresh project, but the old discipline of silence between phone calls where no one takes anything away from anyone, not even the right to change genre. So let the snakes stay on planes, the daily cards stay on TikTok, and the crown remain where it is held not by omens but by institutions. And if you hear again that everything will soon be overturned, the wisest response is to turn the page. Reality often begins exactly where the noise ends.